Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome, beautiful beings, kings and queens. Welcome to the Blue Light Connections episode 3. I thank you all for joining me. And as usual, I would like for you to just, just take a moment to take a deep breath, put your problems aside for the day, and engage with me. Come, let's get together, let's connect. And yes, thank you. Thank you for joining me and welcome. Just bear with me 1 second while I just sort out my tech. Just bear with me a second. Okay. Hello. This week's episode is going to be looking at how, as of Monday, it will be legal to have sex with strangers. It will be legal to have hookups. So we're going to discuss a little bit about what that might mean for the singletons out there, for those who are looking to get back onto the dating scene, and what kind of issues it might pose for us. So welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining me yet again. Okay, so like I said, as of Monday, it will be legal for individuals to have sex with strangers. It will be legal for you to have sex with the strangers for the first time since March the 21st last year. So it's been a whole year. And with COVID and the pandemic that has taken grip of the whole world, well, that's the current situation. And we're having to navigate and find our way, considering how all of this has impacted our lives, how it has changed the way we see things. It has changed the way we handle things. It has changed the way we engage with others, the way we shall be moving forward on the dating scene, as well as, well, in life in general. So we're going to be looking at how, with the pandemic, a lot of our moral standards, a lot of our how we assess risk has changed. It's quite different at the moment. So we're all aware that no matter what we do with the current situation, we've got to try and keep ourselves safe. We've got to try and keep others safe, keeping in mind our families, keeping in mind our friends, and also keeping in mind how all of this here will impact ourselves as we move forward. Now, there's no such thing as zero risk. Every moment we are taking risks, and every moment as we step out of our homes and our safe zones, it is a gamble. It is a gamble. And now we all have different ideas of what that gamble is and what that gamble means to each individual. So I would just want to look at a few things that came to light in regards to this. And I'm going to pose quite a few questions. So I would love for you to engage and just drop some knowledge. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you, what your ideas of it are. So I would like to look at if you're going out on a date, right? You're going out on a date and you're going to be engaging with strangers. How are you going to engage? How are you going to do it? Are you going to go and decide to have a lateral flow test before your date? I mean, if you think about it, back in the day when AIDS was quite rife, it was encouraged that you asked your potential partner, you asked your date, hey, have you had an HIV test? And what's your current status? And now those kind of questions, those kind of questions, they can be mood killers. What do you think? Do you think that's a mood killer? Do you think that that is something that you would want to ask your potential somebody as to, like, hey, have you had a lateral flow test? What's your COVID status right now? Is that something that you would be considering? Do you feel like that there is a green light in how you're going to actually partake in the rest of the date or beforehand. Like if you're on a dating app, would you ask those questions? Would any of you ask, have you actually taken a lateral flow test? Hey, welcome Shana, welcome Sarah, welcome Beatrice, welcome Marilyn, Agatha, Catral. Thank you all for joining me. So tell me, would you take a lateral flow test before a date? Do you think that would be like do you think it would even be giving you any kind of form of protection anyway? Because as we all know, having had maybe COVID in the past or having a test means that you're not infectious at the time of having the test, right? You wouldn't be infectious. However, it doesn't mean that, you're not going to be infectious after it. It doesn't mean that. And then do you think that that they would make you feel safe on the day? Would you feel safe because you had the person you're going to meet has had a test? Would you feel a lot safer? I'm not sure how I would feel about that. I mean, I'm not in the dating scene. I'm married, so luckily I don't have to think about that. But going forward, as everything is opening up, those are things you might consider when you're meeting up with people as well, not just for dates, but in the sense of it being more of an intimate situation, an intimate meeting. It might be something to be considering. And then you have to consider, okay, fine, I've done the test. We're not infectious. We're hooking up. Now, after your hookup, what are you going to do? Do you have another test to protect your family and your friends? Or do you self-isolate after your date to protect your family and your friends? How would you proceed? How would you navigate that? I suppose with that, it boils down to the individual at the end of the day, and whether you're going to take control of your life, take control of the risks that you're putting yourself and your family in. So I would suggest, this is just my opinion. Everybody is free to take on that risk assessment for themselves. I mean, I don't know if I would actually have the test beforehand. I don't know. I've not really had to think about it. But like I said, I'm not in the dating scene. So for those of you who are on the dating scene, what would you do? And then would you self-isolate after? I don't know. And then the other question is, now, if you have the vaccine, would that be something that you would want your potential date to have as a prerequisite? Would you want them to be vaccinated? Would you only date people who are vaccinated? And what would you accept? Would you only accept the person having had one vaccination, or would you want them to have both vaccinations? Now, research shows that basically you want to minimize risk. So it would be a very similar thing to like what they would have had back in the day with AIDS. Would you want to have the test to make sure? Would you be asking a person, oh, are you on, if you've had these type of things, like what's your status? What is your current status? And yeah, I mean, like if you think about it, HIV has been around for about 30 years now. And based on that, you can't tell people not to have sex, because by telling people not to have sex, you're just going to put everything and all the risks and all the statistics and everything that happens underground, which increases the risk a great deal. So what is better? I think based on that and based on what we've seen and how things have happened, people don't stop having sex just because there's AIDS. And I assume it's a very similar thing happening, that people don't just stop having sex because there's a pandemic. It's now about how do you react to the situation? How do you react to the pandemic itself? Are you going to now go forward and say, okay, I've had one vaccination, I have had 2 vaccinations, and now I feel protected? And with that, does that mean that you become even more reckless when you're out there or not? With AIDS and having learned how that worked, instead of putting this whole thing that you can't, it worked by informing people that it's better for them to reduce the risks, giving them support to reduce the risks. And by doing that, people are more aware, they make more informed decisions, and they're also more likely to go and get help in situations where it's not going to be like, okay, this year's illegal. So, I mean, why is it that I'm going to tell you something about something that's illegal? Because I'm just going to get into trouble. So the numbers go up, but you won't be understanding how the numbers are going up, because the disease, it's getting contracted in what would be an underground market type thing, because people are not speaking up. So If you were to make it illegal and say, okay, only vaccinated people should do this, should do that, I think it would pose problems, right? It would pose quite a few problems. And then the question lies again on whether or not you would only date a person who's been vaccinated, and would you accept just the one, or both of them? And what do you think? Do you think minimizing the risk is based on having had both, or just the one? Like, what do you do? What do you do? Anybody willing to share their opinion? What would you do? Would you be accepting of a person and dating a person who's been vaccinated or not? Would you? Any takers on the question? Anybody willing to give their opinion on it? Not yet. Okay, we'll keep it moving. But these are questions for everybody. You can think about them as you're going about your daily lives, and you can think about it and answer me as well. I mean, I'd love to do a question and answer at the end if anybody's up for it. And please, if you're willing to join, I can add you on. I'm willing to have anybody on who would like to partake in the conversation as well. And then now, moving on with the vaccination itself, what would you do? Would you want proof? Because how do you know that someone has been vaccinated? And if that is your prerequisite, would you want proof that they've been vaccinated? And then how would that go? I wonder how that conversation would go. Would that be a mood killer? Like, would you find that a buzzkill if somebody asked you those questions? Or would you be feeling like, well, hey, this is something that's important to me. And because it's important to me, I don't mind being asked that question as much as I don't mind asking that question. And it wouldn't be a mood killer, because at the end of the day, my safety is what I consider to be of paramount importance. I think growing up with AIDS being around and HIV being around, I think I kind of adopted the attitude of, if I need to, well, I'm going to ask. I'd rather be safe than sorry. As much as that would be an awkward conversation, I'd rather be safe than sorry. And having to go for the test myself, I remember I think I was 16, and I went with one of my cousins, and oh my gosh, the both of us were we were so scared. Not that we had done anything, we hadn't even been sexually active, but because we had been considering the fact that our age, and we are maturing into that time of being sexually active, we decided to go for our tests to know where we stand, and to know that moving forward, we also know what we will and won't accept. Our boundaries that we set will be there. And we decided that if we were going to be ridiculed for asking those questions, well, that person didn't deserve to be in our company. That person didn't even deserve to be part of our dating circle or be a date worthy of our time or attention. Because if you're going to ridicule something that is quite important, then you will ridicule many other boundaries that we would have set in a relationship. So yeah, there's that option. And then it's if you're going to ask for that, then the other side is what you're going to do. Is it worth going on the date if you're really that afraid? If you're really that afraid that people are not vaccinated, or that is such a big concern for you, would you bother going on the date if you're needing proof and things like that? Or would you wait? Would you wait and see how the situation progresses before you make those type of steps? Yeah. And then next, I'm thinking of, like, say if you're on a dating app, say you're on Tinder or you're on Bumblebee or you're on whatever is the current dating app scene. Like, if you're on that, now, do you put that on your status? Is it something that you're going to want to put on your status? Is it something that, like, you'll say, okay, just like you describe things that are important to you, like maybe someone who's specifically into hiking, and that is a prerequisite of the person that they're going to be wanting to date in the future, because maybe someone is on track to lose weight, and the last thing they want to be doing is going out for dinner dates, because that's going to set them off their target, off their goal. And then they put on there, I want someone who's going to be active. I'm active. I do mountain climbing. I do this, I do this, I do this. And as such, that is going to be something that's of paramount importance to me. I'm going to put that on my status. Would you put that on your status? Would you find that something is quite off-putting, or do you feel like that is something that should be put on? I think that would be something that is maybe divided, because also at the same time, while quite a few people have been vaccinated, and that is a very important thing, there are also quite a lot of people who haven't been vaccinated yet. So the younger generation haven't really been offered the chance to take that vaccination up, whether they want to or they don't. So putting that on might be a bit of showing off. Maybe people will see it as showing off. Why do you have to put that on? A lot of us haven't yet been given the chance to actually get vaccinated. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's worth thinking about, because then again, what happens to the younger generation, those who haven't actually been engaged in any of that? What happens to them? What happens to how are they going to navigate that whole thing? How are you going to do it? Because you don't even have that prerequisite. You don't even have that criteria to even begin with. If you're looking at you're dating or your potential somebody, going on a date with them, and then does that mean that the risk actually goes up again? It's a very, very, very interesting one. It's a very and I assume it's quite difficult to navigate as well on things like that there. And then you see the other side of it is that if you've had COVID, like say several months ago, you've had COVID, but then you don't have COVID now, do you put that on as well? Or is it something like, well, the symptoms aren't there, nothing is there, I just behave like I haven't had it? It would be a very interesting one to have. And then you think about it as well, is that it's still possible to get COVID. It's possible to get COVID more than once. Some people have had it several times. And does that mean that they are more at risk or not? I mean, are they more risky, rather not more at risk, more risky to yourself? And if you're the one who's had it, does that mean you're more risky to the other person? Interesting. And then then you see, yeah, that's a very interesting one. And then I'll be thinking as well, like now with the whole thing, COVID is a fluid exchange type of thing. So then is kissing more dangerous than having oral sex, or just sex in general? Or is oral sex even safer, where generally they would say oral sex is safer? But then is that the case? Because even in oral sex, you're still going to be exchanging fluids. There's fluid exchange. Your bodily fluids are going to at some point exchange. So even if you don't kiss, then not kissing removes another element of passion. So do you have passionate kissing involved, and then you take that out, then you just have sex, and then does that take away from the connection that you could have with a person? A lot of questions, a lot of things to think about. And now when you're doing all of that, right, fluid exchange, then that puts you even at a greater risk. And just because a person hasn't tested positive doesn't mean that it's totally safe, right? And then you think about it as well, like in the cases of Ebola, and the same with COVID, it's all transmitted. It's all transmitted through fluids. So that's saliva, semen, and poo as well, right? So if you're going through oral sex, you tend to engage with quite a few of those things, right? I mean, some people enjoy anal sex, so which means you're also at risk. And then some, oh my gosh, this is quite a lot. And it's quite interesting. And did you know that at the time when Ebola was taking place, while it's not a sexually transmitted disease, Ebola stayed within the semen for 6 months. And that's a very similar thing with COVID. So that means that it's not a sexually transmitted disease, but it can be sexually transmitted when you exchange your fluids. And then that's COVID as well, is very similar. So then that puts you at risk as well. And then do you think to yourself, is that worth it? But then again, hey, it depends on how much you want to be in a relationship, and everybody's going to have to assess that risk factor for themselves and then see how to go about it. I think I have given you like a whole lot to think about in regards to this whole COVID situation. And I thought it was quite an important thing to talk about, based on the fact that from Monday in England and most parts of Scotland, it will become legal to have sex with a total stranger. It will become legal to have hookups with a total stranger. And I suppose these are just a few things that you have to get involved with. And yes, you're right, Chanel, thank you for getting involved. The Zika virus is very similar in that respect. But like I suppose with all things, like I said at the beginning, you can't not, or not that you can't not. Everybody's assessment will be their own, and whether they decide something is worth it for them or not is their own. Because at the end of the day, you must know people coming out of this pandemic are going to be seeing things differently. Our moral standards are all going to be different. The way we judge something to be reckless and outrageous and all of that is going to be so different to the next person. Everybody coming out of this, people have different fears, they have different understandings of things. And just like how it happened with AIDS, with Ebola, with Zika virus, at no point at the height of those things did sexual activity reduce or not happen. So I think it's about taking on these questions, thinking about it for yourself, and making the choice for yourself. You got to make that choice. You got to decide whether it is worth it for yourself to risk going out there and doing that. Because you must remember, especially with COVID as well, it's a bit different to maybe AIDS, because AIDS was something that you did sexually. It was your choice. And then it became something that you dealt with on your own in many ways. And then you would go on to maybe another partner and discuss it with that partner, beforehand or after, whatever the case is. But with COVID, you'll be also considering your family. Because now you can go out there, you put yourself at risk, but then you come back. And then if you just mingle and engage with your family as you do, what happens then? And then are you going to think of the factors, like we said earlier, about self-isolation after you go on a date? Would you do that to protect yourself, protect your family? But then you see, again, risk assessment, everybody's free to partake in that for themselves. And yeah, those were just a few gems I wanted to drop with everybody today. And then I have had a few emails and messages in regards to a topic that is slightly different. And I would like you all to think about it as well. Just, get in touch, message me with some thoughts as well. A lot of ladies have been speaking about things to do with period sex and whether or not it is something that they should engage in. Now, with that, again, as with everything, it's an individual thing. It's an individual undertaking that you'd have to consider for yourself. However, it is not anything that I would look at as taboo or not at all. I think it is a perfectly natural thing. I think it is a perfectly natural time for a woman, as we all know, to go through. That is something that is just part of our makeup. And with that, I think that period sex is absolutely perfectly fine. There's statistics that show that period sex is actually extremely, extremely helpful for women, especially those who have quite heavy flows, for those who have serious what do you call period problems, serious PMS, where the symptoms are a lot more uncomfortable. Having period sex, in actual fact, it actually helps. It helps alleviate a lot of those things. So I wouldn't say it's anything taboo. And it's also, think about it like this here. You maybe think of it from the man's point of view, because sometimes men kind of make women feel a bit about it and say, oh, this is a whole messy situation, and they don't want to, or they find it's disgusting and stuff. And when you bring it up in conversation, people can make you feel that way. I want to say that it's a perfectly natural thing. It's a perfectly natural thing if that's what you choose to do. And if your partner is in agreement with you, that's even better. Go for it. It alleviates pain. It makes you feel better. It alleviates stress and so many other things. And on top of it, it's still pleasure. It's pleasurable. And remember, pleasure is just another way of encouraging your physical, mental, and spiritual health as well. You want to be healthy by in opening yourself up to pleasure. You also open yourself up to so much more in life and the possibilities and just being happy. Okay. And with the period sex as well, I had a few conversations about it, and looking at it from another angle is also worth looking at. Because men, I suppose it falls into a similar category of like pregnant sex. Like if you're pregnant and your partner wants to make love to you or have sex with you. I think with men, a lot of it is also that they are in their own minds as much as women can be in their own minds. So woman, you can be thinking, oh my gosh, oh my God, this is so messy. Oh my gosh, I'm bleeding a lot. Oh, this, that, and the other. And you can be all up in your head. And well, mind chatter, because that is perfectly natural. You've got to find a way to be okay with it if that's something you enjoy, and communicate. You've got to communicate with your partner, because the other side is your partner does not know what a heavy flow is really. They don't know anything about being on a period. They don't know maybe the fundamental reasons why you're doing it, in the sense of the alleviation of pain, the alleviation of stress, and all that kind of stuff. They have no idea about that. For some of them, it's just something that they enjoy. Maybe it's just a fetish. They don't know. You have to be the one to educate them. You have to be the one to let them know. You've got to be the one that is telling them all these things, how you're feeling, how it makes you feel. It's up to you, totally up to you, to communicate that. And then you've also got the men who are thinking, okay, one, I don't know what's a heavy flow. I don't know, am I hurting you? Because the other side is the association of blood is with pain. It's with things that are bloody, and like I assume things like to do with killing and that kind of stuff, not necessarily that gory, but blood comes with that, with hurt. With you hurt yourself, you bleed. You cut yourself, you bleed. Things like that. So I think it's just a mental construct as well, a subliminal thing that automatically people feel like, maybe I'm hurting you. So a guy may be assuming, oh my gosh, maybe I'm hurting you. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Are you okay? Are you even enjoying this? And they can be all up in their head and not be able to communicate it. But obviously communication is the key in all of these things, in everything that you're embarking on with a partner. Communication is absolutely, it's like the basis of everything. You have to work on that. You've got to make sure that you are being as open as possible. And then you see the other side, I suppose, with communication is how a person is receiving it. In a position to be patient, because not everybody is as aware of the things that are taking place with a woman. Men especially don't always know how things work for us. They may know it from a scientific point of view, but they don't always know like from an emotional point or from a physiological point, how these things work. So it's up to you to communicate these things. If you want things to be better and different for yourself, or if you've got to communicate it. So with the period sex, again, it's the same. I would say that it is definitely a thing of communicating, especially after and while you are engaging in the act. Are you telling the person, look, it's okay, reassure them, look, this is fine, you're not hurting me, I don't mind, I actually am enjoying myself, and don't worry, also set everything up, because I suppose if you get your under blankets and everything like that, then knowing that you're on your period and knowing that it's going to be a wet situation, you're taking care of those bases. So that's one less thing to be worrying about, one less thing to be focused on. I assume men are all up in their head as well, thinking, am I hurting you? Am I doing the right thing? Is this even right? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I mean, am I being selfish? Is this just something that I'm enjoying? I don't know whether you're enjoying it or not. And communicate. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a perfectly natural thing. I enjoy it from time to time. And it's one of those things where, to me, it's okay, I enjoy it. And that's another element of pleasure, another element of engaging, exploring, and experiencing. It's just another element. And connecting with yourself and being able to actually say that you enjoy that, being able to actually admit it and go ahead and be doing it. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome, especially if you can find a partner who's on the same page with you. Yes, I think that is all I've got for you guys today. I have so much more I would like you guys to get engaged with as well. Please feel free to message me. Let me know what it is that you would like to talk about as well. I would like you to give me topics that you would like to discuss or have discussed. That would be fairly amazing. And if you would like to be a guest, like I've mentioned several times, please feel free to let me know. You're more than welcome. This is our space to communicate, our space to connect, and our space to explore all these topics. all of these topics in relation to our sexual lives, our sexual well-being, our sexual health, our mental health. All of this year is amazing, because you must remember, at the end of the day, pleasure promotes health. And if you are pleasurable, if we are happy, not only in our bedrooms, that they translates and has a ripple effect into the rest of our lives, into how we handle with our families, be it our children, be it with our partners, be it with our extended families. You know, the way we see things becomes different, because once you see yourself in the mirror, you're able to look in the mirror and you're able to say to yourself, I love you and I love everything that you're doing, and I'm happy. You know, when you're happy, come on, let's be honest. It's so easy to translate that. It's so easy to transfer that to every area of your life, you know? And when you're having challenges, when you're in a happy space, think about how differently you approach them, right? Think about how differently you tackle them, right? Everything that we do tends to come from a place within us, and when you're feeling connected with yourself, you're able to connect with everybody on a whole different level. You're able to look at things without seeing the glass as half full. You can see the glass as half empty without seeing the glass as half empty. Instead, you see it as half full. You see the potential. You see the possibilities of things being so much more than they are. You have hope. You have even understanding of situations on a whole nother scale. So remember, to find pleasure as it promotes our health. Find the things that make you happy, because as much as I can give you tips, as much as I can let you know about my experiences, the greatest thing that I have learned in all of it, all of my experiences that I've had, have led me to this moment where I'm able to speak to you, this moment where I'm able to share with you. But none of it would have happened if I didn't go through those things, and if I didn't overcome myself, if I didn't overcome my own mind chatter, and if I didn't overcome the things that I once thought were true to me, but they weren't. Those are things that had just been attached to myself. So I want to say, remember, you've got to take this information. You've got to do the work. You've got to see yourself in the mirror and be happy with yourself. And every little step is a win, and celebrate it. And every step and every time that you win at one little thing, you know, be it the way you change how you see yourself, be it the way you change how you see a situation or how you see a belief system you once had. If you can change that, you overcome the greatest hurdle of life, and that is yourself. Because nobody can be your greatest critic more than you, or your greatest cheerleader more than yourself. So it's up to you. It's really up to you to take this that I give you. You go practice it in your life. Otherwise, it's not going to be of any use or any service to you. You've got to go. You've got to practice it. You've got to practice the things that make you happy. You've got to keep doing that. And each win just makes you want to do more. And the more you do it, it's an accumulation. It's incrementally happening. You're increasing it more and more. You're getting happier. And as you're doing that, you're building within yourself a solid foundation to keep on going, a solid foundation to keep on striving for more. Because the nature of us being alive, the nature of our planet, the nature of the earth is that everything is in action and constant action. And if you're not in constant action, if you're not constantly doing and acting upon the things that you like it says, if you don't use it, you lose it. Your body atrophies if you don't use a particular part of it. That's just how it works. That's just how nature is. If something is not in use, it is going to be made null and void. And you don't want that with yourself. You don't want that there with your pleasure centers. If you don't explore yourself, you're not going to know how those things work. You're not going to engage in those things. And come on, let's be fair. We have been built with an organ specifically made for pleasure. Why not use it? Why would it be there if it was not for that purpose? So remember, everything that I've given you, everything that I'm sharing with you comes from the bottom of my heart. I send it to you and I give it to you with love. And all of these things I've asked myself, and I continue to ask myself, and I continue to put out there. And with that, I hope you all take it. I hope it makes a difference in your lives, because I just want everybody to feel amazing as I have felt on this journey of self-love and self-discovery. And I want to share that with you. And I'm excited to be able to do this. This is something that is so close to my heart, and I absolutely love. So, everybody, thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate it. I'm not sure where in the world you are. Not sure if everything is open yet. However, as we navigate this whole situation, this whole pandemic, as we navigate ourselves and life, let's pay attention to all these things. Let's see how we can go forward and what risk we're willing to take and what the reward is, the possible reward is for each and every one of us. Okay? Next week, Monday, is the beginning of the legality of having sex with total strangers. Go out there, be careful, be wary, not scared, not fearful. No. Be informed. Be informed and make the right decision for yourself. Okay? Whatever that decision is, hold it, trust it, own it, and move forward in love, in light, and as always, connect with yourself and connect with life. Connect with yourself and connect with life. Expand the way that you think. Explore the way that you do things and experience everything that you could possibly experience as you do all of that. I shall love and leave you. And God bless you all. And thank you all for joining me. And thank you for all of you who have engaged with me. I truly, absolutely love it. I can't say it anymore, but I absolutely do. So thank you all so very much. Have yourself a wonderful Frisky Fridays, and enjoy your weekend. Stay blessed, stay well, stay healthy, stay orgasmic, and stay pleasured. Love you all. Good night and God bless. Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome, beautiful beings, kings and queens. Welcome to the Blue Light Connections Frisky Friday, Episode 3. I thank you all for joining me. And as usual, I would like for you to just for a moment, just take a moment to take a deep